right,
Yeah.
cool.
It's all good.
Okay, so that's good to keep you organic. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh wow, you just you just happened to catch us in the middle of the movie. Wow. That's right, your boy RC doing a little field work. RC rap McCritic out here in the field, and decided to reach out to the person who reached out to me for the review. Wait, no, the wife of the person who produced the song reached out to me. That's like 2 extra qualifiers that I'm trying to keep track of this. Like, she reached out to me and she was like, hey, do this thing. And like, if you could, I want to do this request for the Let Me Clear My Throat song. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking nothing of it. And then I like really had that like extra like turn back. I'm like, wait. Did she say she was the wife of the... Oh, I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, I've never had anyone like reach out that was like directly involved with a project like that. So me writing the script was kind of like me doing this is actually me like writing in real time how I'm feeling. You know what I mean? Because usually when I do a rap critic script, I'm usually like, well, let me do it like a lyrical analysis breakdown. And I'm like, it's Let Me Clear My Throat by DJ Kool. This isn't about that. So I wanted to do something like, okay, it's a different feeling song. It's a different, like, it's doing something different that most songs are doing by the fact of it having that live element in there, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I kind of wanted to like take that as like, a hint to like do something different. And also just like, it's interesting just to think of like hip hop live recordings, especially in the sense of live recordings where that is the only version. Cause I think about like, whenever I think about this song, I think about, the show by Slick Rick and who's your boy? Slick Rick and
I'm not
Dougie
sure.
Fresh.
Dougie Fresh, yeah.
Yeah,
the show. The show.
So
Yes.
when I was a kid,
Yeah.
my mom had this tape that I called the TDK tape because there were a bunch of them, but this was the one, like they all look the same, but this is the one that had the cool songs on it. And it always started with that live song, like the show.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, you can't get the studio recorded version of it. That's just the version of it.
Doesn't exist.
But that's kind of the point where it's like, this is what we do. This is recording us doing our routine. So like, you're probably going to want to come to our show and catch this routine, So it's kind of funny thinking back then, it's like hip hop being like, it's about the liveness of it. And we're just recording it in the studio just to kind of be like, to try to sell records, but also get people to come to the show.
There's a good reason for that because Kool came from the go-go scene.
Right,
and most go-go records were recorded live. They were not they did studio records, but a lot of live tapes, go-go live tapes were huge business in going down from DC into Virginia into North Carolina. A lot of the groups like Trouble Funk or Rare Essence would just release almost like every couple months a new live tape. And so people were accustomed to getting that kind of music just totally live. It just wasn't a studio type of thing.
And you know what's so funny about it is like I'm a transplant coming from North Carolina up to like the DMV, so I'll just be like listening to tracks and come across a Chuck Berry song and I'll be like, what's that from? Like, is that from something? It's like, it's just like a live session that they did. And it's like, what? And like, I can't get that. I want to get, and it's like, there's something about the liveness of it, like, that was in a moment. That was captured in a moment. But also, you can't just get access to it. But in this modern age where we're just like, where is it? Give it to me. I want it. You know what I mean? Like, it is like, I hear that so much where I'll be like I like to do a thing where, a lot of times, you just plug in your, iPhone to your whatever. But I like to like really listen to what's on the radio and really hear it. And sometimes, when you have places like this area that actually has a rich musical tradition and they actually like to promote their local artists, unlike being in North Carolina, one horse town where nobody cares about the musical scene.
Right.
Here you'll like have those moments of, oh yeah, we're playing the top 40 radio, and then you'll be like, oh wait a minute, but that wasn't just a top 40 radio song, that was actual culture from this area. So I love like feeling that. And then there's something about that extra element of it's like this live moment of like, oh, they captured this from a time. This wasn't just in the studio. This was you had to be here in 1987 at this moment. You know what I mean? There's something about that element of the liveness. So that's actually kind of what I wanted to bring it to eventually when I talked about this, because I was thinking about like what makes this, like one of the questions that I was gonna ask was like what does make this a go-go track? Because I was thinking about it, I was like, it doesn't sound like one, but it definitely functions like one. That sense of like the liveness, the guy with the gruff voice, you know what I'm saying? Like those are just like elements of it.
Well, DJ Kool started out as a DJ between like sets for like Trouble Funk, he started out in the go-go scene.
Yeah.
And the go-go scene is all about call and response because, if the music is organic and created with the audience, then you got to get the audience involved. And so Kool would take a little bit of that aspect of what go-go bands do, and then he would incorporate it into his DJ set. So he would start, putting on like the show or something and rapping over it and then doing the call and response. And it became like integral to everything he did. It was just part of that music fabric. He just brought it to a different level because he was a DJ and a little more versed in hip hop. But as you know, go-go and hip hop rarely meet because like there's a invisible line where go-go just dies on its way up north. It just collides. It's like you come up to Baltimore, people are like, I don't want to hear that go-go.
Just pots and pans. I don't know. And what's so crazy is that it's like every now and then, because like as soon as they said it, like I wasn't even thinking about it. They're like, oh yeah, I was listening to the interview. It was like, oh, it's transitioning from a go-go set to this, so it was kind of like a go-go. And I was like, go-go. I was like, but I don't hear the pot. I was like, I gotta think for a second. And then when I was listening to the other music to try to listen to some other of his music to be like, okay, what's going on? Then I'm like, oh, okay, now I see what's going on. Oh, this is a fusion thing where it's like, and what's interesting about go-go feels like it took where hip hop kind of started and was just like, why are you guys doing more structured songs? We don't need verse cut. Come on, let's just hang out. That's what I think is funny.
No, because hip hop started with that, sort of call and response. And go-go is just like, we'll run with that. You guys go back to your I'm going to sit in the studio and make conscious and very, ethereal kind of stuff. We're just going to sit here and keep calling and responding.
Yeah, and so I feel like what's funny about go-go is it's almost like in a way that it can't do that crossover thing because it's it's just not us. You're gonna ask us to be too structured and we just not want to do that.
And that was always the thing for go because as one of the labels that was operating on the fringes of that in the hip hop go-go there was always this thing, why can't go-go go national? Why can't because the records would sell.
What was the other one? EU's
in the butt. That was like the big. It was huge. It was huge. And that was always the thing. Like go-go's gonna cross over because so if you had a label in this area going on down south a little bit, the sales were insane. So our records 20-minute workout we did, which was the first hit. That one hit the top 100 R&B albums chart, top rap singles. So A&R people calling, they'd be like, "What, man? We can't sell this nationally because the sales of go-go stuff in this area were just would overwhelm other records." And so the idea was why can't we turn this into a national thing? But as you're pointing out, go-go had that organic sort of unstructured.
It's you have to be here.
You got to be part of the party, man. Because if you're not at the party, we don't want forget about it. But, and to me,
you can't be passively here, man.
So just to give you some background how it worked with us, because when I signed Kool, I was he was more of a studio artist, and we did a couple studio tracks, and I put them out, and they didn't do too great. And then Kool was like, "You got to come down to Ivory's nightclub in Richmond. You got to see this. I do this thing called 20-minute workout." So I brought down all the equipment we set up. And man, it was just I was just stunned. People, they already knew. You know how you're saying, how did they know this? Well, Kool had performed it week after week. So eventually the crowd knew it. And it was Kool collaborating with 1,000 freaking people. And I was just blown away. So I had to do a lot of real interesting engineering things to make it work because we had to integrate a studio verse with track and all this stuff. And, so I did a bunch of stuff. And so I played for a bunch of hip hop heads. They're like, "Oh man, that sucks. That's a terrible record." So I didn't even put it out for a while. I sat on it. So I was kind of getting depressed because we weren't really selling records. So I'm like, I'll press this 20-minute workout. I'll just put it out in vinyl. And I get a call 2 days later, we need 10,000 records. I'm like, 10,000? What do you mean you need 10? We need 10,000 records. We need cassettes. We need CDs. We need it right now. And we need an album because the demand was just insane. And so it just taught me something because I just didn't think live hip hop would sell. Just we're used to, it's a studio thing, right? You go to the studio.
There's something about when you hear something live, there's that feel of oh, this isn't professional. This is some
exactly.
This can't be a single. This has got to be some sort of live recording. Your brain as a listener gets attuned to be oh, is this a special thing or something like that? But
But there was so we would sell we were selling hundreds of thousands of records. And it was basically started DC, Virginia was huge, even North Carolina, and some of Florida, and that was it. But that was enough because it was just this. It was a basis for an independent label to operate.
Yeah, man, I'm so trying to figure out where to get back on the track of where to guide
sorry.
things because it's just because it's like that. My brain is a
Well, I mean,
like ways to take this because it's like it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Like thinking about this like the live music angle is what pulls me, is what initially kept pulling at me because I was like having that moment of like, wait, are there other songs that are like this? Because it's like the way that the song happens, it treats it as if like, so anyways, here's another live single for you. Dun, dun, dun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it feels like we're already in the middle of the party.
Yeah.
And I think that was where I kind of wanted to go to next, with being like, so what, because okay, just me organically coming to the song, it feels like it's like, oh yeah, there's a party that's rocking, and we got a whole bunch of people coming through, and there was like this whole special that we did, but we just happened to clip like 4 minutes of it, and here's for you guys, and you can join the party if you want. That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
So like, was there actually, because as I listened to the album that it came from, is like, oh yeah, like I was remembering having that moment of like, wait, this all sounds live. The intro also
live.
sounds like, I was thinking like, wait, was this all, is the album recorded
all
at the
once?
same place as,
No.
as that
No.
place? Okay,
No.
so yeah, what was happening there? What was happening there? With
as
the,
you know, after 20-minute workout came out, I was like, yeah, I mean, okay, so this is working well, just like any person writing something. You're like, this is working. The studio stuff isn't working, so I'm just gonna go all in on recording everything Kool does, following him around, doing live recordings, and getting better at it as a producer. You know, as my role in that role as that kind of producer, to like really perfect it and try to capture any moment I could, because you just never knew when something was really going to gel, you know.
right, something, that
yeah.
was the thing, live in the
so
moment.
That was not like one day. I made it to sound like one show, but it was recorded to different places, different times.
Funny.
Some in Baltimore. Yeah, and so one of the ways Let Me Clear My Throat happened is that Kool was doing a remix of 20-minute workout, because as an independent label, you just want to keep remixing what already works because you don't have any money, so you're just trying to keep it. So we did a 20-minute workout remix, and he put that 45 seconds of, which you found, of Let Me Clear My Throat in the back, because it's something he said, Steven, you know, I just stopped the record and I coughed, and everybody, just like he said in the thing, that's exactly what happened. And we put it on there, and then, so it was like on the end, and a DJ in Philly, DJ Ran, I don't know what happened to him, but he called me. He's like, man, every time I put that on, you got to turn that into a record, because every time I put that on in the club, people go fucking crazy. And I was like, okay. So Kool and I talked about it, and we're like, well, let's try to do it. And Ran had gotten that crowd. That's what you heard. So that the one you heard, the one that with Dougie Fresh, that's the remix.
Okay.
But the original version that actually took off, we recorded in Ran's club, because DJ Ran had the crowd like so programmed. That's a really interesting you brought up, because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It sounds like they already know the song. How is that possible? If it's a live recording, how does the crowd know the cues?
And I was also thinking, it was like, wait, there's two versions of the song,
Yes.
and like let the video tell it. It feels like it looks like what's happening is, well, we got Biz Markie like kind of for this version, but then we kind of cut him out for some versions.
Right.
But like, is it a thing where like they actually? Because when I listen to the songs from the album, and I listen like at the beginning, wait, what happens at the beginning? Is it the same thing where they
No.
like, no, it isn't. So
No.
yeah, what is happening here?
Yeah. So the version actually took off that got the major label interest was recorded at Bahama Bay in Philadelphia before the Biz Markie. That was a remix done once American Recordings picked up the record. So the original version is just us, you know, being in this club, and it's kind of a funny story, because when Kool started performing it, the crowd got so riled up that the sound engineer turned off the sound of the mic. So we had that crowd you hear at the beginning, we actually got that from another show that I can't talk about. and we digitally transferred it. So when you hear that downbeat and it goes da 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 da, and everyone goes, that's actually someone else. That's actually not the crowd. That everything else
we're a good little studio crowd.
Everything else was actually, but that was not. And that record's the one that actually, like, I literally put it out, and that record just blew up. Like, it just went insane. I think we actually ended up on the Hot 100 singles and top 200 albums as an independent label with two people, myself and one other person working there. So it was like, it was the craziest thing I've ever been involved in, because I just wasn't prepared for it. We're just two people right up here on 1400 Alisana Street trying to get orders and vinyl, and fortunately I had a manufacturing deal with We Have Manufacturing up in Pennsylvania, and we could ship. But it was, it's crazy, because someone's ordering 50,000 CDs. How do you pay for that? And so it was like a logistic crisis. It was crazy. But that version is the one that. So by the time we did the remix, everyone knew it. But I thought it was really brilliant what you talked about, because Kool would DJ so much, and DJs would play his records. and that's what got people. But the other thing I did with his 12 inches was that I always would do like an ISO track where I just have his vocal and maybe a little beat underneath it. And that helped us break the boundary to get to New York because on the 20-minute workout, I just took his vocals out and I put them I repeated them and I put the beat underneath it because I thought, DJs like to play back then. Right. If you gave someone a 12-inch, you better have some vocals or some sort of different thing, right? Because you can't just give them a 12-inch. You got to give them something. But, so we would I didn't want to do remixes, but we'd break up the vocals. And then I get this call one day from Funkmaster Flex. And I'm like, who the fuck is Funkmaster Flex? Wow. Of course, you know who Funkmaster Flex is. He's like, I want to put your 20 Merc. That's the track's kind of weird, but his Kool is amazing. His vocals are amazing because he took the vocal thing.
Like it so feels like a DJ's put this on.
Yeah, it was a total DJ, and people started remixing it, and so he put it on 60 Minutes of Funk. What was it called?
20 Minutes of Funk. Yeah.
60 Minutes of Funk. It was like the first Funkmaster Flex compilation. He put, he put like the remix of Kool on there, and so then DJs in New York started hearing his voice, and then we had there was AV8 Records had that. What were they called? The Crooklyn Clan started doing just records with Kool's voice, and that kind of set the stage for the people.
See.
Yeah, so it was like that kind of DJ culture because 12 inches had that sort of structure where you would isolate the voice and stuff, and then people could take it out of the go-go context.
And he has that voice where it's like where have I heard that guy?
Yeah.
Where have I heard that guy?
Yeah. Well, I took one repeat. It was like when he goes, one more time, baby, and then I would loop it. And I looped it, and that got really big up in New York. Flex was like, I just play that. That's all I play. Because people in New York are going to be like, they hear go-go. They're like you said, pots and pans. But he would play that, and people would go crazy.
That sounds cool. That hits.
That hits. And then and that just got DJs remixing and using his voice. So we kind of had set the stage when we finally said, okay, we're going to use a beat that's actually one of the greatest hip hop loops ever, right? The 900 number.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
so then once we slid his vocals underneath something that was not ostensibly go-go, then everyone was like, okay, this is. So that's kind of how it was. Kind of what was cool about it was really organic. Like in a lot of ways, you can say this was not like some studio creation. This was a creation between thousands of people. DJ Kool, me jerry-rigging equipment, trying to freaking record and hoping the shit doesn't fall apart.
Right, it feels so
It was like, I'll tell you what it was like game day when you were recording, because you're like, Kool could do something brilliant and my mic better fucking work and everything better fucking. I'd be sitting there like this and I'd just go home and listen to me thank God we got it. There'd be magic moments.
It feels like magic. It's like, did all the elements just happen to come together to make it? Oh, and we captured it. That's what it feels like.
It was like a touchdown. It was like being on a team and Kool's getting ready to perform and I'm running around trying to make sure that all the equipment works and that the engineer is cool and that the club, because you're dealing with club, you've got the sound reinforcement,
right?
You've got the recording. They're two different things.
Yeah.
And man, I guess got an expert at being a troubleshooter because something would always go wrong. And you're always nervous, will the crowd show up? Because the weird thing, okay, we're making a record. We need to make a record with 1,000 people. If 1,000 people don't show up or 500 people and they're not hyped, there's no record. So it's like, I remember we were recording it. We recorded a big chunk of it here in Baltimore at, what was it called? I can't remember, called Louis or something. And I was just like, shit, there's no people here at 11. And then 11:30, everyone just came in and it was like, that's when we recorded I Got That Feeling. And it was just like, I need the crowd or I don't have a record. It's a weird thing, right? It's not. And it was just a weird thing to just be a part of because, it's just different than what I had expected to be doing.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to be it just feels like such a, are we running with this? This is what's happening. Okay, I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah. And you never know what Kool's going to do because the thing about Kool though, he's one of the best performers. Of that period of time. And
that's the thing about it too. Because I had some questions for him, but it was but that feels specific to if I wanted to ask him, because there's something very specific about this magnetic persona, and then what? He only had one hit. That's insane. What the heck is going on? What happened? 90s?
Well,
what are you doing?
He had hits that were more regional, 20-minute
right,
workout.
Right.
I Got That Feeling.
He was one of those in the fabric of the time, especially if you're a DJ, you're in with other people. Like, it's one of those things like, oh, you got to know about the scene to know about him.
You got to be DC, Virginia, North Carolina.
Yeah.
They know all those songs. But if you're, from the perspective of having a national hit where everyone knows that would be that one. But yeah, he had other hits. It's kind of a story where you just see the tip of the iceberg.
But it's like if you're going to any block party in the regional area, you're gonna hear those songs.
Hear 20-minute
it's just in there. Yeah. That's so fascinating. But I'm trying to reel back to so how I'm trying to reel back to basically like coming back to the features. I'm trying to figure out like there's the one version you did and the second version. How do we get to hit up Slick Rick and
with Dougie Fresh. It was
Dougie Fresh and what,
so the record comes out and like I said, it just blew up. Like, I don't know if you ever run an independent label. This is in the 90s, right? When you literally have to manufacture stuff.
Right.
So one of your big problems is just getting product out because, like, that's not a problem now because you just get
I think
streamed.
it's so crazy coming, like, in nowadays where stuff is so, like, much more centralized and be like, it's like a mythical past now to be like, remember when you had to trudge to the record man?
Oh, my God. Like, let me tell you something. I would I'd be pleading with the manufacturer. The truck would come into our warehouse. I'd literally be sitting there unloading boxes. You'd see this big, what did they used to call them? When you get a big... pallet. Pallet. A pallet of you'd have pallets come in of CDs, and then you got to ship them. Are you going to drop ship them? So there's a big it's physical product, right? And you have to be able to pay to produce it and then have credit so you can ship it to distributors. And so hopefully they'll pay you so you can pay your freaking bills. It's like for a little operation like us, it was a big lift because we had the album on my label before we did the deal went top 200, which meant at that point you were selling 4,000 or 5,000 copies a week. That's a lot of product for a little teeny label with only 2 people, not including having to do radio promotion and everything. So, I mean, we started, looking for, well, first of all, every A&R person in the country flew to Baltimore to talk to me from like every label, and it was right to the strip bar. It was like, where's the strip bar? I'm like, it's over here. All right, we'll go. And then they would talk to me. And, it was kind of dancing around, but we finally settled on a deal with American Recordings, Rick Rubin's label. But we were battling a lot of stuff because, I don't know if I should tell you this, but it doesn't matter. Because we had licensed when we did when we had the like 45-second, we had licensed the from Tough City, the 45 King sample.
Right.
But then my partner was like, "No, we don't need a license again." I'm like, "I think we really need to do," and he didn't. So then they came after us, so we had to settle that part.
That was actually one of the questions.
You can ask about that. No, but it turned out to be a good story because I hooked up with 45 King. There's a whole nother story about that. But it was so there was a lot of stuff we were trying to deal with. So we did a deal with American Recordings, and I guess the idea was let's expand on this concept. People love the song. Let's bring in Biz Markie. Let's bring in Dougie Fresh. And then they're like, yeah, and let's record a record and shoot a video at the same time. And I remember thinking, like, man, that is really dumb.
Yeah. Okay. So,
like, that's not a good idea.
Who threw that idea?
I have no idea where that came from. As a person who had been responsible for all the live recordings, and I was like, really not. I was kind of against it. I was like, I think we should do one at a time, dude. But they had this idea. So I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna say his name. An A&R guy, the classic '90s A&R guy, who doesn't know anything about recording, anything. He's like, we can do this. So he hires, of all places, NFL Films to shoot the video. And like they don't know anything, so they put all these lights, and I'm like, dude, it sounds like a thunderstorm in here because we have so much electromagnetic interference. It was like we spent 3 hours just trying to get rid of that. And so then, my job was just to record NFL Film Sub, and then the club's like, where's the sound reinforcement? I'm like, what do you mean? We're not responsible for that. Yeah, we don't have. So in other words, the real complicated thing about a live recording is that you have to have sound reinforcement for the artist so they can hear themselves, so they can pour, so the crowd can hear them. And you have to record at the same time. It's 2 separate things. And the A&R guy had never asked anyone to do that. I was there with a truck as a recording person, but I wasn't doing sound. We had no sound reinforcement. So in other words, there was no way for Biz Markie, DJ Kool, anyone to hear themselves. No way for the crowd to hear them. We were just sitting there with a $100,000 shoot and my big truck that was costing $3,000 a day, and no way for them to hear. And so the A&R guy was he was in the thing, we were all in there. He's just like literally starting to like break down. I'm like, okay, all right. So we went in and we jerry-rigged a sound reinforcement from the truck because we had an old board in there, and we just were able at the last second to put together. But that thing almost fell completely apart. It was the stupidest idea to do a video and a record at the same time. Yeah. I don't know how we got out of that day, but we got through it. And then I think Bismarcky was like, you know, we had to keep him happy, and God rest his soul. He was amazing. And, you know, they all pulled it off, but we did multiple takes, and, you know, we were just we were recording for like 5 or 6. I had a tape like that's about 5 hours long. We were sitting in there doing it over and over and over and over again. And it was a mess, man. That was a total mess. I would never do that again.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's so funny because, like I said, it looks like a magic trick where it's like, it just looks like, oh, a night was just happening. And we just happened to record it. And like,
and then
it was like, you have no idea.
And just to make it like really eerie, Kool wanted to have clowns there, and I'm like, why do you want clowns? He wanted the clowns.
It definitely adds to the moment.
And it kind of
like a different person.
Every time I'd walk out to like fix something or deal with something, there'd be like a clown standing there. And I was like, this is a bad omen. There are clowns on the set.
The one thing that confused me is the dude in the like Undertaker like apparel, with the bit of like interesting, like who is that guy?
I don't know.
He's like getting down and dancing, but he looks like he's supposed to be like, you know, there for like a dark purpose.
I have no idea why that guy was there, man. We were just navigating chaos. I mean, at the beginning part, there were like lights, a whole banks of lights that were supposed to surround the thing, and we just had to take them all out.
Yeah, there's the initial thing where it's like just one shot on him, and that shot only happens once though.
That's because we had to take it. We did a shot, and then we're like, we have to take it apart, otherwise there's no record. You know, so it was like, man, that was like the most stressful day. Well, one of the most stressful days of my freaking life. I definitely wouldn't want to do that again, you know. So it really, when you think about it, it's like the opposite of like the auteur who goes to the studio and like shout. It's like everything's seat of your pants, spontaneous, and always crazy, and always like, oh man, are we gonna pull this off? And just hoping we could pull it off.
Yeah, that's so funny because it's like, listening to the record, like, what it sounded like to me is, because, you know, he starts off like, oh, I'm not from Philly.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels like the whole album is like, oh, I'm rocking with this crowd and I'm talking to it. And so funny, like I said.
That was the idea.
Yeah, it's part of the magic trick. I'm like, is this a crowd? Because that's what I was thinking. Like, I thought that
I think it's 4 separate clubs, 4 separate.
That's so interesting because what it felt like was like the album was having. That's what I remember happening. When I listened to the album, it felt like it was like the recording of the single is like and when we did the second take of the single and we happened to get Bismarcky and them for like 15 minutes.
They showed up. They came in late.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it kind of felt like. And it was just like, oh, we're gonna do this. We're gonna run it back one more time. Hey, and then like the video is just like, you know, from that thing. That's so funny. But it's all. That
was the idea. I mean, I really wanted it to sound like one complete show that Kool did, because he could do that. He could do a whole show like that. So I just wanted to make it sound like that, even though it wasn't necessarily all recorded at the same time.
Yeah. How did you get, like, how did they call in like Slick Rick and Bismarck? Like, what was the?
Well, that was once we had the deal with America, because like we just didn't have the resources to do videos and things. So once we had American recordings, you know, that was really cool making all that happen, because, you know, he just hooked up with those guys. I mean, that was Kool's. And you know, because no one wanted to perform after him, you know, because he just once that record took off, he was touring all over everywhere, and he just started hooking up with lots of people. And you know, but also we had this whole old school reunion concept. So even at that point in the 90s, it was still kind of old schoolish in that sense. And so people, you know, like Bismarcky was like, even at that point a little old school in that sense.
Of course.
You know?
And it is interesting to think about, like they're certainly going for that flavor, and especially with the samples that they're using, because at the Ed Lover 900 number, that's like by 96, that's a little like,
that's old school.
Exactly. Especially with how hip hop, hip hop rolls. You know what I'm saying? Where like if you're not up to what was happening the last 2 years, especially back then, like I talk about this a lot on my show, where it's like from 92 to 93, it feels like the game changed. Where it was like you could do the high top fade stuff, and then 93, 94. No, we don't do the high top fade. We don't do that no more.
Yeah, no kid play.
I mean?
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It was convulsive, and
people got bullied out of.
But we just figured take what could be a vice turn into a virtue, right? Like old school. This is the way it used to be, even though it's only 97.
I mean, and it is kind of funny to think about that too. But also, like, stuff does change so quickly in a way where it's like, wait, we are noticing the difference though, like, right? Where it's like even 10 years ago, that does feel a little different than what, even though. Like 40 years on, now it's like, wait, what is the difference between 1990 and 1994 again?
No, I mean, some of the most seminal records dropped in those 3 or 4 years. It really transformed everything.
No doubt. Like that pretty much formed what the sound of what you would consider hip hop at that time.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to remember because you said there was some A&R that pitched the idea of like doing like a video. And So it's like, I'm trying to remember how do you sell that? Because like wasn't in the 90s there was like VHS records or something like that? There were VHS charts or something. So like was that a thing, a factor of
I see what you're saying. Yeah, did we try to sell the video? Yeah, I don't think that was part of the calculus. It was just that we were very unusual. Like I think we were so small as a label that we probably should have done our own video for the original version that took off, but we just never did it. And I think it was just it was the first time. One of the reasons.
Wait, so there is no video for the original version without them?
No.
The video that you see now is just a YouTube edit where they take out. Okay, I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, no. There were, what I'm saying is like the version you hear at the beginning of the album that we recorded first, the Let Me Clear Throat, the one that was. There's no video for that. So Kool really wanted to do a video. Obviously, it makes sense. I mean, but there was no plan to sell the video or anything. It was just we just wanted to do a video. We just didn't. I didn't want to do a video and a record at the same time, but we thought a video would be good, and I worked at my label. I had like some partners, and they weren't really visionaries. Let's put it that way. And so like they didn't think videos were necessary, and it the problem, the curse and the blessing is when a record takes off like that. It doesn't seem necessary, right? Because we were selling so many records. It's like, why do? I wanted to do a video, and Kool wanted to, but that's one of the reasons we pushed it to a major label so that a video would happen.
I think that's so crazy thinking about that now because it's like for me as someone growing up, like I have it in my mind that it's just like if you make a song that's cool, y'all make a video. Like,
I totally agree.
It's all a part of the experience now. Like MTV blew everything up. You gotta have a video now.
But remember, back then it was a little more expensive.
Yeah.
You don't have 4K cameras you can buy for like $800 and whatever and edit yourself. You needed to like hire. I don't know why we hired. We spent like $125,000 on that video. Is what I heard what I recall from our very bad royalty statements. It was like $125,000. So it was much more expensive, and you couldn't really do it yourself. Which now I would do it myself if I was doing something like that. But you couldn't do that back then. You might have been able to. I didn't know how to do it myself at that point. So that the whole point was to get a video, and it kind of seemed, and you're kind of right because like. It would have been great if I had been videoed. Of course, it would have been crazy. But if I could have had some videos of what I saw occur in those clubs, the community, and the call go back and forth between the audience was just like this amazing energy. I kind of wish I could have made a documentary about that.
Maybe that's
really cool.
Maybe that's what Go-Go really needs. It needs like. That real documentary, seeing the event, not just hearing it. Like maybe that's too 2D for the average person outside of the scene.
Right.
It needs to be a music video. Maybe you were tapping into something like go-go music. Go-go songs have to be. It has to be you needed to see Chuck Brown's face in order for him to like take off across America.
You probably don't remember this, but in the '90s there was like this whole scandal about go-go shows being with people getting sort of naked and things, and it ended up like on some sort of Donahue kind of show, like oh my God, Go-Go, how
Go-Go took took my decency.
Right. Now I never saw anything like that, but it would have been amazing. I just I couldn't afford it, but it would have been cool. It would have been really cool. So we did get that one essence, that one moment, but I wish I could have done more video work too. To be honest.
Yeah, I really see. I'm someone who I really like music videos. I think they're like I'm. I used to watch Beavis and Butthead. You know what I'm saying all the freaking time. Like I'm just like I'm the type of person who's like, why aren't we all just watching music videos all day? Why did MTV, like, I'm always like, it's like MTV fumbled the bag. Like, can you imagine if they just like stayed the course and just like they could have probably been popping right now. YouTube probably couldn't have even have taken off. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's a good point.
Because the
25% of YouTube is videos,
dude,
music videos.
The reason why I stopped watching MTV and messing with it was like, well, they're just showing reality. Okay, well, where can I find the videos? And then I remember I originally, it was like Yahoo or something like that, because they were like, oh, here's music videos, and it's like it takes too long to load, and it was annoying.
Right.
And then I found like YouTube, and it was like, oh, hey, I found like some Wu-Tang Clan videos, and so then I'm like, oh, cool. Oh, wait, there's more. There's just stuff here. Okay, I guess I'm here now. And it's like in the MTV, they fumbled the bag, man. And whenever you would try to go to an MTV website, it was so like unwieldy and unloaded. It's like, okay, well, you guys are certainly not in with stuff that's going on right now because I want to watch videos. Why do you not want to show me videos?
They've totally conceded that to YouTube, and now it's 25% of YouTube's watch time it's the biggest category.
Yeah, it's not that people don't want to watch them. It's just that you guys, for some reason, were like, no. If we go to then we'll be able to spend even less money. You know that's what it really was at the end of the day.
No, I'm with you, and especially now. Maybe we can go back and make some videos of Kool.
Well, I think there's still there's still clearly a want for it. Like people still enjoy music with visuals to it. You know
absolutely.
What I'm saying? That's clearly still valued, right?
Yeah.
Like when a cool video comes out, like the This Is America video, the WAP video, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like people still care about music videos. It's not like who cares? It's just that you've got to be entertaining. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. Entertainment. But I feel like there's one more thing I wanted to circle the question around. But I think it might just have.
You know what? I can tell you about what happened with 45 King.
Oh yeah. What's up with that?
So this is another exclusive for you. So of course, I thought, well, I should get in touch with this guy because he's the one who created this beat and give him some love on the record. I called him up and had him do a remix on the 12-inch that we released through American Recordings. So he remixed it. And then we got to be, we kind of got to know each other, and I wanted to start another production company because I was like, I wasn't happy at the label. So 45 King said to me, look, give me X amount of dollars and I'll make a track for you every day. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. So I sent him the money, and he would make a track for me and send it to me, and we'd talk about it, and I'd critique it, and we'd go back and forth. And then one day I'm in the studio, and he calls me, he says, you got to hear this. I came with this great idea. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I put it on speaker, and it's the Annie sample from Hard Knock Life. He had sampled Hard Knock Life. He's like, what do you think? I'm like, that's amazing. I'm like, this is great. So technically at that point, we had this idea. So he gets to put on an acetate, and Kid Capri starts playing it on the Puffy tour. Oh. Jay-Z hears it. Wow. And then what's the guy that runs Jay-Z's label? Damien Dash calls me, and then a whole bunch of people wanted the track. And I was in a really weird position because it was just a sample. It was an idea. We didn't own it. We hadn't cleared it. So we basically say Jay-Z can have it. And we travel up to New York. And, I was sitting there while Jay-Z recorded Hard Knock Life. And he did 2 takes. And, it was just 45 King was there.
That's crazy.
And that,
that just happened. Oh,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah, I know. So like that, what came out of that was like kind of a cool thing, So that was just another thing of that whole kind of weird journey.
Yeah.
So that's just a little extra for you. So.
Oh, that's fun as hell. Yeah, look, the way life goes, man.
Yeah.
Different journeys and whatnot.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I know as soon as I leave, there's going to be like that was a specific thing you should have asked, but you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to say, we got more than enough, material, and I'm feeling good about it.
Cool. So, thanks for it. It's great. We love your